What is good, YouTube? It's your boy, Do It With Dan, back at it again for a 2021 video. I know it's been a couple weeks since I've last uploaded a video. Jack stand. Anyway, glad to be back. I took a break, I was doing VDuck, I was hard in it, and some of you guys are probably still saying like, Dan, I don't know what VDuck is. And that's okay, because it's probably not gonna happen again. I'll be real. Yo, I made a mistake and I started doing videos every day during Christmas, and it was way too much for me to handle, and I was like, oh man, I sure don't want to do YouTube anymore. That being said, I just took some time off, I got better, and here I am, back at it again. Back in here doing stuff at the shop. That's how it is. You know, for real, I think a lot of people hit that weird stride towards the end of 2020 where they just didn't feel like doing anything, they didn't want to work, they didn't have any energy, no drive, and I mean, why would you? 2020 blew. I actually thought about making a video talking about 2020 and reminiscing about all the shitty stuff that happened in 2020, and I might still do that, but I thought, that's not how I want to start 2021. I want to start this year out strong with some good shit that I know everyone wants to see, and that's the 73 Camaro. That's right. She has been down for quite some time, and she's gonna continue to be down for just a little bit longer. But today, the most important thing we need to do is install the Detroit Speed Stage 2 suspension kit that they gave us for the front end. Oh, you're saying it's already installed? If you can see, it's already saying, Dan, it's already installed. What do you mean you gotta install it? That's because I didn't film an intro or an outro. I just went to work yesterday and then just started putting it together. So that's where we're at. And honestly, the process was way simple. Like I've never really done much suspension stuff before. But after I realized, like, especially with the instructions they give you, it's pretty hard to mess this stuff up. So simple that if I can do it, you can definitely do it too. Remember, it's just work. That being said, I'm about to get kicking, about to get started putting stuff together. I will say this, that Detroit Speed did send out the kit. You guys remember I toured their facility. Great adventure, great people. Give them a follow. I've put links and whatnot all in my description. You guys can go check that out. But yeah, nothing to do it but to do it. Let's get started. You're from your mom's monsters? Oh shit, she got you a fat pack, bro. What's this one? Is this tea? Do you like those? Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, let's just take that. I drink the shit out of these if they sponsored me, you know? Hit me up, Monster, what's up?
Yeah, we love Kawasaki too, so, you know.
Yeah, hit us up, fuck it, Chevrolet, everybody. Lamborghini, whenever you're ready to reach out to me, I'll be ready. My email's in the description, you guys can hit me up there. I got my new batteries charging, and they make a hiss. Yeah, it makes me nervous. Ham got here to the shop early today and really cleaned up the whole shop. We got a bunch of trash we need to take out, but we're reorganizing the shop here very soon, changing plans completely. But today I'm going to be installing the Detroit Speed, I think it's their Category 2, like a hurricane. I believe they're Stage 2 front-end suspension kit, which include tubular upper and lower control arms, new set of springs. I got my other one on over there. This one's got the sway bar kit as well, which we won't be installing today's video because we're not buttoning it up to the front of the car just yet. And then we also got, this is not supplied by Detroit Speed, this is just something I bought online, which is a C5 disc brake conversion kit, which does disc brakes and rotors, and it does the hubs as well as the steering knuckle. And which doing this, convert it to like a C5, or you gotta upgrade the brakes. If you're gonna be doing their Pro Touring suspension, if you're restoring any car really, you need to be doing that kind of stuff. You need to be upgrading the brakes. So today I'm installing it on my subframe here, which just got done being powder coated from Custom Coaters Atlanta. It's fucking beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. We went with, I can't remember the color, but it's like a cherry red, obviously. Might look orange on camera, you never know how those things go. I already have my lower control arm on over here because I was just seeing which side, it was hard to tell, just kind of looking at that, which one's which, but I think the way Detroit Speed does it, I don't want to say this if this isn't the case, but I think all their forward-facing components have the Detroit Speed sticker facing forwards and up. So the front of this is the one with the sticker on it. But it's pretty simple. I'm gonna assemble this side, just send the bolts through it and put it in place, and here you go. Lower control arm. Came with the ball joint, and it already has the ball joint in there. Now the kit is super simple to install. I can do it, you can do it, and that's a rule that you guys should live by. If you see me doing something, be like, oh, if Dan can do this, I can do this. The way we install these is very simple. I'm gonna, I left out the caster. The caster spacers fell out. We'll set these over here by all the other hardware. Got a bunch of grade 8 hardware that I'm going to be using to replace the old factory rusted nuts and bolts. You know, if you're going to go through the process of doing this, you might as well upgrade the bolts that you're using, right? Using grade 8 bolts too, because hardcore heavy duty stuff, higher tensile strength, better for suspension, yada yada. grade 8. It comes in this like little chromey yellow colors, you know? But yeah, so this particular kit doesn't come with the replacement hardware or anything like that. It just says to reuse the factory hardware if it's in good condition or get the upgraded stuff. That's what I would recommend doing, is go and get your grade 8 bolts. The factory size is 1/2 inch, I believe, for the upper control arm supports. And then the lower ones are 9/16. Probably have to special order those. Most hardware stores don't even carry 9/16 anymore. It's like a weird in-between size. I had to go to a bunch of different stores to even come close to finding what I need, you know what I'm saying? So just order online if you're gonna be doing that. All right, so you have a couple of these little guys here, caster spacers that fit just inside here, inside your little channels. And the kit comes with a second set. We'll have to actually set the caster and do the alignment after we have the engine in and the full weight of the car. Otherwise, it'll be different. You know what I'm saying? Because like the weight will be different. Put these, they just slide on like that. I also got some washers and nylon locker nuts. Now, normally I just send an impact on this kind of stuff because that's who I am as a person. But you don't want to do that with locker nuts, man. It'll ruin them. I'm not gonna torque them down just yet because we still have to do some weird stuff to get the steering knuckle in place here in a little bit. But what I will do is go ahead and tighten these down a good bit using my new Sonic toolbox that I got from Sonic Tools. They gave me this Corvette racing box. Ironically, before I was planning on getting another Corvette. Check this out. You know, I talked about this stuff in the video. I want to go get the toolbox from them, but they went and they put my name on everything, every fucking thing. Look at that, DIWD. It's on every single piece. And I've been talking with them about doing a giveaway to you guys for some tools. What the fuck? No. Today's the first day, actually. It's the first day I just set up the toolbox. It's the first time I've been back in the shop. I needed tools to start working with tools again. So I'm excited to start messing with them. Man, feels so good. It's like the best feeling ratchet I've ever used. Holy shit. I don't know, I'm not saying that because it's a sponsor, I'm just saying. That's a good ratchet. I'm blown away by that. We'll torque those to specs later. All right, so now we need to install our steering knuckle. And we gotta remove these little cotter pins from that's gonna be a stubborn one. All right, take the castle nut off there. The washers are for spacing and alignment, so I don't think we need to worry about them, but we'll keep them for when we do the alignment. All right, buddy.
It says it right here.
Where?
The shock tie bar sits on the top of the lower control arm.
Is that in the instructions?
Yeah.
Number 9 doesn't. Oh, fuck. Got the wrong instructions in here.
It's the instructions for front wheel conversion kit.
Oh, thank you, Alex, for the help. You're the best. He's like, it's in the instructions, stupid. The kits I got came with individual instructions as well as like a full coilover conversion kit, and I completely misplaced the coilover instructions that was sitting right in front of my face. So naturally I called my friend and was like, hey, can you help me because I'm a child? And it's like right there, and he's like, right, it's in bold. The shock tie rod bar sits on top of the lower control arm, and it's got the torque specs. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to read to me. All right, so now it's time to install the shock absorbers, the shocks. Detroit Speed sends out these JRI shocks in their kits, and honestly, they're one of the best shock makers especially for like resto mods and stuff like that. Pretty positive they do motorcycle suspension too. I want to say that I can remember having a conversation with someone that worked with JRI shocks, and they talked about a motorcycle adjustable suspension. It's like a one-sided, was it air ride shock or like all contained shock? It was pretty gnarly. I'd suggest giving them a check out too. I definitely want to work with them on a future build for a motorcycle. But it's pretty simple. It just sits on top of the lower control arm, bolts in the bottom of it. First thing we need to do with this, which I just got done doing while talking, is I went ahead and brought the adjustment nut on the shock all the way down. Per the instructions, that's what it says to do. Then we need to install some thrust bearings and washers on top of this so the spring can sit on it and kind of roll around. Got these little bad boys right here. We got our, I'm only gonna do one right now, but we got some thrust washers. We should have 4 of those, we do. We should have 2 of these roller bearings. Yep, you're gonna have your washer, then you have your bearing that sits on top of that, and then you're gonna have your washer sit on top of that. So it'll be like a little sandwich. Nice little lazy Susan for your shocks, you know what I'm talking about? Got some good old fashioned bearing grease type of shit that they use to make sticky bombs in Saving Private Ryan. Now here's what I'm gonna do. It doesn't say it in the instructions. There's nothing in life better than a little bit of lube, right? So I'm just gonna put the first thrust washer down, and then I'm just gonna take just the slightest, clean my finger up a little bit because it's gross. What does that smell like to you? What do you mean it's the wrong hole? I'm gonna take just the lightest. I'm just gonna get my finger, the tip of it wet, and then just apply a thin layer all the way around on the top of this. I don't wanna make a mess. I really just wanna get it just enough for the roller bearing, you know? Like normally I would probably pack the roller bearing. Good old bearing pack, as always. I love to do good old bearing pack. But I don't think I really need to, especially not with this. I'll use my good pants, why'd I do that? I was wearing my good pants for this. I might even do it on the top one. I think that just giving this a good roll around there, it should come through on both sides and lubricate itself. That feels good. That feels good. That'll last a while. Then just put the actual shock over our spring here. Or sorry, we put the spring over the shock. Silly me. And then now we take this whole assembly and like shove it up in the car. Now for the most part, that's kind of done. I need to bring this back up and put the correct spacer and washer up here. So I need to tighten these bolts and nuts down here at the bottom, which torque specs 35. And then I also need to do the same up here, but there's a little tricky boy that's going on up here. Little mystery, little enigma going on up here. Little, if you don't know anything about suspension, then you're gonna have to learn a thing or two. First of all, we do have a rubber bushing that's gonna go on top of our strut, and then we're gonna have a washer. That's what was missing. I just put the nut on there to keep it from falling off while we set the bottom nuts and bolts. You feel me, dog? You feel me? You feel what I'm doing here? You picking up what I'm throwing down? Do you feel it, Mr. Krabs? That's good. That's really good. So what we're gonna do here is we're about to tighten this up, right? We're gonna torque these to spec, and we're gonna make sure that this is nice and tight. So we can't start tightening our nylon locker nut without putting a wrench or two up here, because if you don't, this right here will undo your suspension internally, and then it'll be up to you to replace or fix it. And also you can't use impacts on this either. That'll void the warranty. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to put a wrench or socket on top of that to keep that from turning while we tighten down our little locker nut. Suspension's funny, ain't it? But before I do any of that, part of me thinks that I should go ahead and put my my steering knuckle on. Before I tighten any of that up, might need a little bit of play. So, hey, why don't we just go and put that steering knuckle on, baby? Hey, why don't we go and put that steering knuckle on, baby? You feel me? Hey, boo-boo. Let me take a look at your picnic basket. Zanga this up a little bit. Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and put all of them on there when I go to put my steering knuckle up there. So that way that I don't lose them, because I am who I am. I know a lot of you guys are like me. So let's get this thing installed. It only weighs like 5,000 pounds. These are the upgraded brakes and steering knuckles from a C5 Corvette. You can buy these online. I bought these at Summit. It doesn't really matter, I guess, where you buy them. Unless it's sponsored, then it matters. But in this case, these doesn't matter. All right, plan of attack this here. All right, very, very nice. Look at that. That's great. That's a good noise too. All right, so now it's time to torque all of this stuff to spec, right? So we got the bolts for the upper control arm. bolts for the lower control arm, lower ball joint castle nut, upper ball joint castle nut. Then we got the 2 bolts down here that connect the shock to the lower control arm. Now, kits like this often come with several steps of instruction, and they usually come with their own torque to spec instructions. So if I ever have to do stuff like that, what I do is I just get a piece of paper and I write down all the torque specs on one piece of paper, so that way I don't have to go hunting for it every time. Bottom of the struts, those 2 down there, 35 pounds. Upper ball joint, 50 pounds. Lower ball joint, the instructions say 50, some people say 90. These are kind of arbitrary numbers. You want to make sure you get it down close enough to where you can get the cotter pins through the castle nut. That's really the most important thing. The upper control arm to the frame, these bolts need to be 50, and then the lower control arm bolts to the frame, those need to be 90. So I'm gonna come over here. Ooh, I get to try out a new tool. I get to try out their torque wrench. I'm really excited about this. So let's get it torquing. Let's just work our way from the lowest setting up, which I think is the bottom one's 35 pounds. So we'll just start at 35 pounds. All right, that's 35. The next step is gonna be 50 pounds. Now the castle nuts. Upper ball joint to 50 foot-pounds. Then we also want to do the same for the lower ball joint, at least 50. But like I said, the most important thing is just making sure that the castle nut has the hole to go through so we can put our cotter pin back in it. All right, so you see how there's the visible hole through the castle nut? That's what we're looking for. I'm gonna make sure it's torqued down nice and tight, but that's really the most important thing, is to keep the castle nut from turning itself off. Shove that through there. Look at that. Isn't that great? Get you some pliers and you just bend that son of a bitch, right? Yeah, I ain't going nowhere. Don't be afraid to get real bendy with it. These are cheap. Cotter pins are cheap. All right, now we gotta do the same for the top. Same verse, same as the first. Send it through and really bend them suckers. Owie, not your skin though, stop that. Cotter pins are both in those. Plus the bolts at the bottom are torqued. The only thing we have left is this bad boy up here. Here's what we gotta do. To keep this shock from killing itself, put that on there like that, so. We're just gonna hold that, and we're gonna take the wrench, and we're just gonna twist it like that. And we're just gonna keep twisting until it's all the way down. This is gonna take a minute. I have a really lazy idea. Tired of holding 2 things. I'm gonna zip tie this thing down. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Now it's physically incapable of turning. All right, now let's get to work. So now we got it down to where the black spacer's touching the rubber grommet thing that goes in between the strut and the frame. As per the instructions, we're going to turn it until it starts to compress the rubber gasket, and then we're gonna give it one more full turn. We don't wanna over tighten this. I'm gonna wait until this thing starts to get crushed. And once it starts to get crushed, I'll give it a good turn. All right, I like that. And that, my friends, is really, that's all that is. You know, I think pretty much anybody can do this. Seriously, if you have a set of hand tools, you can do this. You don't need a lift, you need a jack, some jack stands, and some hand tools. That's really all you need for this kind of stuff. I'm gonna go over here and do the other side. I'm gonna kind of speed through that, but I do have one thing I need to talk to you guys about that I should have done earlier. All right, so we got this side set up almost ready to go. As you can see, I don't have the lower control arm like I did when I went and installed this setup. And that's because I wanted to make sure I got it right before I told you guys. But the lower control arm bolts here, or the bolt holes, you know, like down here as well, it says that some of them might have to be modified, drilled out from their stock 1/2 inch size to 9/16. That's what the Detroit Speed Kit uses, is the 9/16 inch. From what I understand and from what I've read, some of these cars came with 1/2 inch suspension bolts. Some of them came with 9/16. Mine came with 9/16, so I didn't have to drill or do anything. But some of them you might have to drill, and that's important that you check that out before you like paint and powder coat. Thankfully, I already knew that before I did it, so I didn't have to. Otherwise, I'd have had to take in like a step bit and drill those out, and they don't seem to be easy to reach. But thankfully, I didn't have to do that. And the other place that you might need to is this hole up here where your strut goes. Some of them are smaller than these. Sometimes these need to be stepped out to fit the appropriate Detroit Speed shock, but mine didn't, so that was really convenient.
right? Like, it seems scary. It's big parts, you know, it's lots of metal and moving stuff, and you think, man, I'm not a mechanic, how can I do that? That's the best part, man. That's why people like me exist, which prove to you that not only can regular people do stuff, but absolute morons can too. And that's the most important thing to take away from it. That being said, I'm really bad at outros, and I've been trying to think about how I want to end this video, especially starting out the new year. And you guys probably can't tell because you don't live here or come here, but we're rearranging the shop a little bit. The ambulance is still in the same place, and most of the other stuff is generally where it used to go. But we're cleaning everything up, and we're getting started for the new year to approach stuff a little bit differently, especially on my channel. I'm gonna go a little bit more old school this year with my channel. I really enjoyed doing my vlogging every day, my normal vlogging stuff. I quite enjoyed doing that. It was the doing it every day thing that was stupid. That was fucking dumb. Like, I was unable to do that and still do work. Oops. So I'm gonna start this year off a little bit more old school. I'm a little bit more handheld camera, doing shit the old school way, and getting back to my roots on some things. I do want to bring bikes back on the channel this year. I stayed away from them a lot last year because I really wasn't feeling it. And I want to do more bike builds this year. I want to get back into building motorcycles. But I really got to focus on some other stuff. I have the dually to look forward to that's almost done. I have a video update about that coming very soon. I have a dope-ass lowering kit for the shop truck that I want to throw on that bitch. Probably LS swap that thing pretty soon. I just want to get the dually done and registered and drivable before I go tearing apart a truck. I have the Pontiac Fiero, which is going to go into some crazy, I mean, I don't want to spoil it right now, but the stuff that I want to do with the Fiero is I don't think anyone's done one with the Fiero before. People have come a little close, but I'm talking about some ridiculous shit, and I'm working on some big partners to get them on board with this idea as well. Not because it's going to require a whole lot of money per se, but it's going to require some tools. Like, I have to get a hydraulic tube bender. There's no way around that. I'm trying to get a plasma cutting table. I'm actually looking at a ridiculous one that will put me like into full fuck production. I am so excited about this, and I hope it works. And the Mustang, right? People are gonna ask me about the Mustang. What's going on with Mustang? That thing is still in pieces. It is still sitting on a pallet of wood over there. I have intentions to kick it into gear with that thing this year, but I don't think that thing will be finished this year. And I don't want to put a time frame on that, because that's another important thing to me this year, is taking things at their own pace and realizing that I am just one person and I can't keep all the promises that I originally thought I could with this kind of stuff, right? Like, when I thought about being able to get that done and this done, wrong. There's a lot more to it than I thought, for sure. So that being said, I'm not gonna put an end date on either that or the Camaro, just because I think that puts more pressure on me, and then when I don't meet those expectations, I get hard on myself and then don't want to do it. You know, it's a vicious cycle, and you gotta learn how to manage that kind of shit, especially me. I don't have all the answers. I'm learning this stuff one day at a time, just like you guys are, right? But that's really the scape of it. I want to finish up some projects this year. I think this is gonna be the year, and Ham said this to me yesterday. He said that this is gonna be the year of finished projects, and I think he's right, because I do have a lot of rounds in the chamber, and a lot of them are kind of close to being done. The ambulance will be done this year for sure. That's my most important goal, because that is Ham's home, and I think you guys understand that. And on top of that, I really would like to get the Camaro done this year. I mean, realistically, we're not very far off on this. Huge steps. Having this done, I've been dreading doing the suspension and the subframe, because I knew it was going to be like a lot of work and time, and it actually really wasn't that bad. Go figure, the thing that I've been putting off for months took me 10 minutes to complete. But I do need to finish going through the Camaro and cleaning some shit up. I actually might just go ahead and strip the whole thing. I know it's gonna sound ridiculous, but I might go and strip the whole thing, send it to a bead blasting company and have them take it apart and do that, just to save me the time of doing it myself. I do want to finish this, but I have been thinking about delegating some of the other work to some other people, like doing the body work. I'd love to do the body work on it, but I gotta think about like who I am as a person and how much I am like able to accomplish in a certain amount of time. I'm not concerned with my inability to do it as much as I am my ability to do it in a reasonable time. Does that make sense? I think a lot of people will understand that. I'm excited to start this year with a bunch of unfinished projects. To be honest, I'm really looking forward to just completing one of those at a time. You know, honestly, it's a lot of cool stuff that I have planned. As you guys know, for like the past couple of years, I've just been taking on projects and doing stuff that is kind of like fabrication style stuff. You know, lots of cutting, lots of welding, building, and I'm really enjoying that. I enjoy the process of creating stuff, and I realize that that's what I've always kind of wanted to do, and I realize that's kind of what I've always wanted to do as a kid, growing up watching those shows like Monster Garage and the Chopper shows, and watching people make and build crazy stuff. Like, I realize that's always what I've wanted to do, and YouTube has just been that path to doing that. And it's like, I woke up one day and all of a sudden it was like, whoa, I have pretty much every tool that I need to do fabrication stuff, to build and create awesome stuff. The one thing I kind of woke up lacking was the experience, right? Like, I have certain skills. I'm not an amazing welder, but I can weld. You know, I'm not a brilliant fabricator, but I can build stuff. But I'm missing a lot of time with that in elaborateness of projects. So that's one thing I really do want to focus on this year, is building cool stuff. Whether it's assembling suspension, stuff like that, or maybe fabricating my own long travel suspension. I don't know. I would hate to just throw that out there into the internet like I've been planning it for months. Anyway, I think that's where I'm gonna end the video. I want to give you guys an idea of what's going on, and I think that this year is gonna be like a much more focused and a much more driven year for me. I want to get back to the roots of having fun, but I also want to build and create cool stuff too. So buckle up, guys, enjoy the ride. And you know what? 2021 with Do It With Dan and us, this is gonna be the best year that we've ever seen on the channel. I can fucking feel that. I can feel that in my bones. And I want you guys to know that I'm here for you, and I love you, and I'll see you in the next video.